Jafri's quest. What is the purpose of life? What is the truth? What is philosophy? Is there a God? How should we live? What comes after death? Let's join Jafri in his quest. Episode 4: Ancestors of the Islamic Prophet Muhammad. Islam is the second largest religion in the world after the Christianity. In 610 AD, Arabia was a sparsely populated, barren land out of which sprang forth the Islamic faith, which miraculously overran the two mighty superpowers of that era, Eastern Byzantine Empire and the Persian Empire, within a span of 30 years. Though a lot has been written about the events after the rise of Islam, very little is known about the pre-Islamic history of Arabia, as there were no written records available. In this episode, we would shed light on some of the ancestors of the great Islamic prophet and the pre-Islamic Arabia. Lineage of Muhammad. The lineage of Prophet Muhammad traces back to Abraham, the great patriarch of Judaism, Christianity, and Islam alike. Abrahamic religions have monotheism as the core of their faith. Ismail and the Zamzam spring. Abraham, as instructed by God, left his wife Hajra and his son Ismail, the biblical Ishmael, in the valley of Makkah, a deserted barren land with no water in sight. Ismail, who was then only a little child, rubbed his feet on the ground out of thirst, and miraculously a powerful spring gushed forth. Hajra cried, Zam, Zam, which means to stop, and thus this name was given to this spring. This spring now exists as a well that is sacred to the followers of the Islamic faith. Makkah and the house of Allah, Kaaba. Since most of the Arabia was deserted, and the people adopted a nomadic lifestyle, searching for water to settle, one of the clans from Yemen, the Jurham, passed by and asked Hajra for permission to settle near the spring of Zamzam, and this is how Makkah was inhabited. Abraham later returned and along with his son Ismail built the house of God, the Kaaba. Although Allah was the supreme God of the pre-Islamic Arabs, they also worshipped a multitude of idols, which were also housed in the Kaaba. The Kaaba was and still is the most important and revered place in Arabia. Muslims all over the world make a pilgrimage to the house of Allah. Adnan, Mad, and Babylonian invasion. A descendant of Ismail by the name of Adnan was a prominent figure in the Arabian history, and his descendants, the Adnanites, inhabited the northern Arabia. During his time, the Babylonians attacked Arabia, a rare instance where an outside power adventured deep into central Arabia. Adnan's son Maud was held in high esteem by the Arabs. He was able to gather his people in Hijaz, the area that included the Makkah and the Medina, in the aftermath of the Babylonian invasion. Hosea and the rise of the Quraysh. One of the descendants of Mad, Fihr, also known as the Quraysh, after whom the tribe of the Prophet was later known, thrived during the 3rd century BC. Hosea, son of Caleb, born in 398 AD, a descendant of Fihr, assumed the control of Makkah. He settled his clan into the vicinity of Kaaba. He created a grand council hall called Darun Nadwa, where governance matters were discussed. Hashim and the growing stature of Makkah. Hashim was the great grandfather of the Prophet, and the Prophet's tribe was named as Bani Hashim, that is, the tribe of Hashim. Since there were constant wars between the Sassanid and Eastern Byzantine empires, Arabia became an alternate route for the trading caravans. It was Hashim and his brothers who obtained the guarantees of immunity from the neighboring lands, which allowed the trade to expand, bringing great wealth to Makkans. Hashim was later challenged by his brother's son, Umayyah, but the arbitrators favored Hashim, and Umayyah went into exile in Syria. This was the beginning of constant rivalry between the clans of Hashim and Umayyah, which continued even after the emergence of Islam and resulted in the tragedy of Karbala. Abdul Muttalib and the Elephant Army. Abdul Muttalib was the grandfather of the Islamic Prophet. His personal charisma made him the undisputed leader of the Quraysh. During his time, the famous incident of the elephant occurred. The Abyssinian governor Abraha invaded Mecca with his army of elephants, but a flock of birds flew down the skies and pelted the army with pebbles and destroyed it. This year was later called by the Arabs as the Year of the Elephant. Abdullah. Abdullah, the son of Abdul Muttalib, born in 545 AD, was the father of the great Islamic prophet. It is narrated that the light of prophethood was visible on his face before the prophet's birth. Abdullah married the daughter of Wahab of the Zohra tribe. Soon after, Abdullah fell sick during one of the trade expeditions and died in Yathrib, a few months before the birth of the Islamic prophet Muhammad in the year 570 AD. Abu Talib. After Abdul Muttalib's death, his son Abu Talib adopted the 8-year-old Muhammad. Once on a trade expedition to Syria, a Christian monk saw the signs of the prophethood on the young boy and warned Abu Talib about threats to the young boy's life. Abu Talib immediately returned to Mecca. When Prophet Muhammad began preaching Islam, Abu Talib protected him against his enemies when the Quraysh boycotted the Prophet and his tribe. Abu Talib stayed with Muhammad in the valley, which was later called as the Valley of Abu Talib. On Abu Talib's death, Muhammad lost the tribal protection and had to immigrate to Medina, where he laid the foundation of the great Muslim empire. The end. This concludes our video. If you found this video interesting, please press the like button and subscribe to the channel.